New era.
And welcome to Venice. I'm here with Fujifilm Italia, who invited us, me and other, of course, photographer, to test out the brand new Fujifilm GFX 100 RF that you see in my hands, the brand new medium format compact fixed lens camera that Fujifilm has just released. Of course, cannot be a true review because in a couple of days you can only understand so much and you can only test so much. But it's going to be a very good first impressions of what this camera is, who this camera is for, and who should be interested in something like that. So stick around. I'm going to bring you around today. Yesterday I didn't shoot any video because it was a hectic afternoon. Today I plan on doing a little bit better and bringing you around with me, and we're going to talk about the camera. Let's just talk about the body. This is the silver version. I have also the black version over here. Thanks to Maurizio, you will probably won't know him, but he gave me his to be able to do this. And so, what is this camera all about? This camera is about having the biggest sensor possible in the most compact body possible. And right now you're seeing the camera with the hood and the ring in the front, but once you remove that, you will see in the footage that you're seeing right now, the camera is super, super, super compact. I was using this because it's been raining, so I wanted to protect the lens. But usually I would use it without the hood, which, by the way, comes in the package together with this nice strap, together with the filter, together with the adapter ring, and so it's a full package. You don't have to think about anything. The camera is built super, super well. It's beautifully machined. It's wonderful to look at. It's better in presence than it is in videos or in pictures. I don't know why, but that's how it is. It's very nice to handle. The fact that it's a little bit taller than the rest of these compact cameras allows you to have a place where to rest your pinky, which for some it's a pretty important thing. Not so much for me, but many consider that to be a very important thing. It's all beautifully machined. It feels very solid in the ends. It feels like a premium product. Indeed, because it should be at 5,500 euros or $4,900. You absolutely need this to be a premium product. I forgot to mention the camera is super lightweight as well. It's the lightest weight medium format camera, digital medium format camera that you can find, and it's not just a number on a spec sheet. It's a number that then delivers in the day-to-day use. You don't feel like you have a very large sensor camera in your hand. It's very compact. It's very usable from a size and weight standpoint, and Fuji has done an incredible, terrific job with miniaturizing this camera, which of course is not overly, it's not super compact, it's not pocketable, but it's not as big as any other medium format camera you can find. It's even smaller than the GFX 50R without the lens. This one you have a pretty good lens. So whether you like the concept or not, you gotta admit that Fuji has done a great job in that regard. So as I'm heading back to the hotel to get breakfast because I'm starving, I tried to hope that I would be able to shoot a decent sunrise, but of course when I'm around trying to shoot sunrise or sunsets is pretty complicated because I'm not that lucky. I just put it this way. My feeling after afternoon of using the camera is pretty positive. There are some limitations, but I want to talk to you about those at the end of the video because I want to give it today as well to see if it was me needing to adjust to those limitations or those are plain limitation and that's it. But aside from that, the camera is a joy to use. It's literally a joy to use. It's perfect for like big sensor street photography. For street photography, a big sensor is because you want it, but you don't, it's not a category. The big sensor street photography. You have enough depth of field that you don't have to worry about it. The autofocus seemed pretty snappy. Of course, this is, oops, sorry, this is in medium format terms. You always have to parameter that towards the fact that it's a medium format camera. As Venice is waking up, because it's 7 a.m. now, I wanted to give you my very first impressions after an afternoon of shooting. The camera is very, very nice to use. It's just a joy to use. It's compact, it's lightweight, everything is where it should be, meaning all the dials, the buttons, and stuff like that, making it easy to use in pretty much any scenario. And so a very competent camera when it comes to do pretty much everything you want. Of course, this is more tailored towards those travel photographers or street photographers that just want to have a compact body and they want to work with that to get around the limitation of a compact body with a fixed lens camera, although this camera has some tricks up its sleeve when it comes to avoiding limitations, but there still are. And I want to talk to you about those later in the video at the end after shooting today with the camera as well. But for those who are looking for a compact camera with a big sensor capable of delivering big time when it comes to image quality, this seems to be a dream camera. And at the end of the day, I think that's what Fuji was trying to achieve with a camera like that. And I can already tell you they achieved it because the camera is really, really, pretty good. And so, as you can see in this wonderful day here in Burano, which was supposed to be a beautiful day in which we would photograph a lot, but it's raining like crazy. So I don't have much time to photograph, but I have a little bit more time to talk to you. I just wanted to touch on a couple of points that are, in my opinion, really important about this camera. The ratio dial on the back, it's definitely a nice addition. It's a nice feature. Of course, you can do all of that in post-production. You can crop as much as you want. However, the fact that you can have your frames and seeing what you're doing while you're doing it is, and the fact that it's at your thumb, helps you being more creative. That, together with the fact that you can now have the frames overlay on your screen. You can decide whether you want to black out all those parts that are not part of the image, or you just want them transparent with a little bit grayed out portion of it, or just the frame without changing anything. It's just it helps you doing everything that you want in an easier way. Together with the crop as well, which is another nice addition, which you can reach with these front dials over here, you definitely have a lot of creative possibilities that open up your freedom, okay? You could do all of that in post. Having that at your disposal while you're shooting definitely helps, because I found myself trying those weird ratios, super panoramic ratios that I would have never done if I didn't have that in this thumb wheel that you find over here. It's really, really nice, and it definitely helps you getting more creative, more different shots. So in my opinion, that is definitely a nice move from Fujifilm. They nailed it big time. I wanted to touch on the most divisive point of this camera, meaning the f4 lens and the lack of the stabilization. This can be a deal breaker for a lot of people or some people, and it can mean nothing to others. It all depends on the type of shooting that you do. The way I shoot, I felt like I was feeling that the lack of an either faster lens or the stabilization, because I tend to be shooting, I got used to, thanks to stabilized camera and lenses, I got used to be able to shoot 1/10 of a second, even slower, with a stabilized camera handheld. And I tried to replicate that, but it's not gonna work. You can shoot a 1/30th of a second if you're pretty good with your hands, if you're pretty steady with your hands. Otherwise, you're gonna have a little bit of shake in your image, and especially you're shooting 100 megapixel. Any movement definitely shows. So if you shoot like that and you're being used to shoot like that, you either adapt yourself to shooting on a different way, meaning you bring a mini tripod or you bring a real tripod, or you just are okay with limiting yourself to those scenarios when you can shoot handheld at 1/60th of a second and an f4. Otherwise, you're gonna feel a little bit of anger because you spend a lot of money on something that it's not helping you in what you want to achieve. For others, that is not a big issue, and if you fall in that category, by all means, this camera is just spectacular. It's up to you. I'm not saying it must have been like that or it must have been the other way, because we were clearly told if this camera had to have a faster lens and slash or a stabilized sensor, it would have been a lot bigger. And at that point, we would have a bigger camera and people complaining that the camera was too big. It's trade-offs. Fujifilm went for the most compact possible that they could do with a camera like that. It's up to you to decide whether that is a limitation for you or not. High ISO is not a big deal. They are pretty good. The ISO in this camera is really, really good, and you can definitely shoot 12,800 with no issues. It all depends on the way you want to communicate your shots. When it comes to the speed and operational speed of this camera, I found that it is more than adequate to pretty much do pretty much anything but sports and wildlife. However, you would not do sport or wildlife with a camera like this anyways, so it's not a big deal. The autofocus is pretty good, exceptionally good if you think about medium format cameras. Even the tracking autofocus worked on a walking person. You're seeing it right now, worked pretty good, although the day is a dreadful day. It's terrible even to, it kills any will to photograph. But it was doing good, and it's tracking a person walking at a normal speed without any particular issue. That already is a big success, because people used to think that medium format were just slow and clunky and impossible to use. Well, in this case, you can stay assured you can use it pretty much the same way you use a Fujifilm X100 or a Leica Q3 or any type of this camera. It's like, compared to something like the Ricoh GR3, GR3X, the autofocus is way faster and more reliable. So we're in the very good territory. I haven't touched on the technical specification of this camera because I think if you look in this video, you already know all of them. When the launch event was held in Prague last week, you probably watched all of those videos, so I'm not gonna dive too much into it. I think the choice of having two SD cards is okay. This camera doesn't need CF Express cards because it's not a fast camera anyways, and a good SD card is gonna do it with no issues. And it's got all the connection that you can possibly ask, and really it is the way it should be. The battery lasts pretty long, and all in all, from a technical specification standpoint, it's what it should have been. I would not expect anything more or anything less than this. It's a GFX 100S Mark II in a smaller body with all the things that a camera like this needs to have. And so, as you can see, I changed my scenario. I'm in my Airbnb. I'm gonna stay one day longer because I wanna try to shoot something in Venice with another lens, and we're gonna talk about those when it's time to. But I wanted to wrap this event up with you guys. The camera is exceptionally good. It's very well built. I already mentioned all of that in the previous part of the video. It's very very well built. It feels premium. It's worth every euro or dollar that you spend. And speaking of euros of dollars, this is $4,900 in the US and 5,600 euros in Italy. I don't know in other places in Europe, but it's going to be around that same price. Whether that is for you or not, it's not the cost. Because the cost is the cost of a premium camera. It's not a camera for everybody, and it's okay that camera not being for everybody. Not everyone needs the same thing, not everyone can afford the same thing, and not everyone has the same type of shooting. So it's fine. Differentiation is good. It's always good, especially when you're spending that much, to try to find some of those events where you can, there's like those touch and try events. Those are gonna be very, very important. The camera looks and feels much better in the hands than it does when you look at the video or at the photos online. It's definitely solid. It's just machined in a way that it's exquisite. Exquisite? You tell me. I will not discuss sheer image quality in this video. I didn't have the time to sit on my computer, look at the files, edit my files. I only have a 13-inch laptop. I'm gonna edit this video and it's gonna be it. We're gonna deep dive into the image quality of this camera in probably the next video that I'm gonna push out, because I want to get you the full picture with this camera. But I'm really excited for what Fuji is doing with this type of cameras. They nailed it with the X100VI. They nailed it with these cameras as well. I believe if you're shooting, it's a deliberate shooting where you take your time, you don't care about shooting low light, or you don't mind about using a tripod when you're shooting low light, or you don't want to rely on those on the edge type of shutter speed, like the 1/30th of a second is the most I could get handheld. If you don't use any of those scenarios, then this camera is going to get you the best results that you can possibly get. On the other hand, if you cannot live without being just handheld, without having a very shallow depth of field or a very fast lens, this camera is just not for you. And again, it's okay. If it's not for you, it's okay. It's going to be for someone else. We will only know whether this camera nailed it, whether Fuji nailed it with this camera when it comes to selling the camera, only in a few months from now, when they're going to disclose how things are going. Fujifilm Italia felt very, very strongly positive that the camera was going to sell very good, and the pre-orders that they received were very high. So it looks like the camera has a lot of attention, which leads me to believe that it's going to be a very successful camera. And successful doesn't mean they're going to sell a million of those, because with that price, that's not the target. I hope you liked this video. I hope you like the effort that I put into putting everything together, despite the weather, despite against all odds, because weather didn't cooperate at all. And I feel bad for Fujifilm Italia. They invested a lot of money into setting up this event, and for the weather to not cooperate at all definitely sucks. And if the weather had cooperated, we would have gotten way, way better shots for sure. But it is what it is. I think that's it for today. I'll see you in the next one. Ciao, guys.